to make sure that we're learning and kind of really being able to brainstorm and find ways that we're able to navigate through the challenges that life brings us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Claudia Newton, and I'm the founder of No Ordinary Life. Today, we have our panelists joining us from various countries. You're going to find out exactly where they're joining us from. We have Chaka from Malawi, Ruvimbo from UK, also Zimbabwe, Samuel from Ghana, and also representing Nigeria as well. We have Sarah from Malawi. And so we are very, very international at the moment. And I will say continental because we have countries in Africa being represented. And we want to talk about the specific challenges that we find in our countries. And also, we might draw a conclusion that there are challenges that affect most African countries, regardless of how developed or undeveloped they are. There are certain things that affect every single country in the world, even in the rich countries that we call developed. Okay, so about No Ordinary Life, we are a career motivation platform which aims to inspire young people and all ages to realize their dreams, passions, and interests, and to take meaningful routes to get there. We were established in 2016 and have a vision for all to have access to informal supplementary education, skills training, and mentorship to help them attain their full dream and potential in order to live their best life. And you can find us on our website, www.no-ordinary-life.org. On our link tree, the details are on the slide. And on social media, we are on all 5 social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we should be streaming on our YouTube channel at the moment. I need to double check if we are streaming, but we are supposed to be streaming. And if not, it will be available on our YouTube channel later when I'm able to fix it. So I think I'm going to record the session just in case it is not being streamed. Can never actually trust technology. So I'm going to record as well. So I'm going to record. And for the purpose of this discussion, I would advise you to please keep your devices on mute, apart from our panelists. There's going to be a chance for you to share your thoughts and ideas and experiences. So you can, at that point, you can unmute yourself and speak. So please keep your devices on mute to have some order in the room, the virtual room. So our panelists for today, we have Chaka from Malawi, who is the founder of an organization called Inspiring Positive Innovations. He is a product of the University of Malawi with an advanced diploma in information communication technology. His accomplishments are mainly in the areas of education, innovation, and facilitation. And he has won a number of awards. And from 2020 till present, he has managed to engage over 12,000 primary school kids under the theme, "No child should be left behind," with a belief that children are not helpless, change is possible, and they are able to drive it. So welcome, Chaka. Next up, we've got Ruvimbo. I don't know why this is doing this. Ruvimbo is also a panelist joining us from Zimbabwe at the moment. She does live in the UK. She's based in the UK, but she's in Zimbabwe. And she is one of our panelists. She's a youth project worker by profession. And because of her role and her profession, she's well aware of the challenges and opportunities present for the youth. So she's aware of the challenges present for the youth in the UK, as well as in parts of the world where she works in, her organization works in. She launched Own My Mark, which is one of the most life-changing motivational podcasts, which boosts thousands of followers and listeners and weekly downloads. She was also crowned the very first Miss Africa Great Britain in 2014. So a great accomplishment for African women in the UK. So Someone's clapping. So yes, very, very good. And we're honored to have you, Rivimbo. And she's also the founder of Inflame the Dream Trusts, which is an organization that operates in Zimbabwe, Uganda, and Sierra Leone, providing food and basic necessities to orphanages and struggling families. It is a charity. Next, we also have, welcome, Rivimbo. We have next Samuel, who is also a panelist he's representing both Ghana and Nigeria. He is a humanitarian aid worker and an African storyteller. He studied journalism from African University College of Communications in Ghana. And he is the founder of a charity called Umbrella for the African Child, which is a UTAC. And they organize a series of events supporting children in rural areas in Nigeria and Ghana by providing educational supplies, mentoring programs, and sensitization projects. Samuel was recognized by Ideation Hub Africa for his contribution towards the SDG goals. He was also nominated by Humanitarian Award Global for the Best Child Protection Advocate in the year 2021. Fantastic, well done. And Kwame's dream is to consult with presidents, governments, organizations, and institutions across Africa concerning issues affecting children in underserved communities in Africa and discuss the way forward. So he is our youth representative, and we're looking forward to see you doing great things. Maybe being a president one day. You have to choose between Ghana and Nigeria. But yeah, so welcome, Samuel. And next on the panel, or last on the panel, is our final lady panelist, Sarah. She is a chartered insurer by profession and also a business owner. I can never say that word. Entrepreneur. I said it right. Okay. And a business owner. She has a degree in business administration, and she also loves to give her time to make a change in society. She's also currently mentoring with No Ordinary Life, a volunteer mentor with No Ordinary Life. And she won an award for Global Health Corps finalist in 2022. So without further ado, we welcome all of our panelists. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I guess we can take the first discussion. We'll start with the most popular that was on the, wait a second. The most popular that was actually on the Slido, I believe it was something to do with education. So we'll start with education, okay? So let me actually stop sharing, and then our panelists can take the stage. So I'll put myself, here we go. So our panelists, I don't know who to start with. I believe we'll start with Cheka because you're the first on my list. Most people here mentioned that education was one of the challenges for young people or the youth in Africa. Education could be anything. Which specific types of education are a challenge for the youth in Africa or in your part of the world, in Malawi? Where do they struggle in education? Is it tertiary education, secondary education, and what kind of barriers do they face? This is a question for all the panelists, actually. So we'll start off with you, Chaka, but everyone's going to answer this question, or the panelists will answer this question. So Chaka, when you are ready, I'm going to pin you. And yes, ready for you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chaka. And on the topic of education, it's a very tricky question because, basically in Africa, specifically here in Malawi, I've noticed that engaging the kids in the schools, I've noticed that the education itself is not conducive for the environment that we're in. So basically, it's not the syllabuses that we have, but the actual education that I think is the problem, rather where the problem is a type of education that we're offering to the young people as they grow up. It's not at which level, it's the foundation that's wrong. Because let me give you an example. We are like here in Africa, we're still learning how to draw, how to label a grasshopper, stuff like that. And our environment is coming up to a point whereby you have to be innovative. That's what we're being taught now. So I feel like the best education that we really need to actually bring in on the table should be centered on design thinking, in a sense of where the person can be educated enough to know who they are as an individual before they're released to the world, to actually say, okay, what does the world expect of me? They should know what something that should be expected of themselves. So I feel like in terms of education, we can do better, and we should do better by starting educating people or who they really are before we engage on what the world should actually deliver and expect. And just to finish up on that statement, the reason why I started my organization was because of the same factor of education. So when I was looking into it, I discovered that the gaps that are in education are so big that even people who left the schools are struggling because they're not getting the right education. Hence, our organization is focused real education where you know who you are and you tap into the intellect that is within yourself so that you can have something sustainable for yourself. I don't know if that covers it.
Yeah, that really covers it. I really love your point on knowing who you are. Yes, hand clap for that very first point. And yeah, feel free to use emojis, and when you're feeling, if you're really agreeing with what they're saying, hand claps, emojis, hearts, thumbs up, feel free to do that. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chaka. And I love the point that you mentioned about knowing yourself, because as you mentioned, it's very important to know who you are. Personally, myself as well, I started No Ordinary Life because I had to discover who I was after my degree. I was asking myself, who am I? What can I add to society? What's my purpose in life? And it wasn't actually based on what I learned in school. It was based on my experience of life. That's what I'm building on to actually make a living. It's not based on what I learned in school. So very important to know who you are. So very solid point there. Education. Education is not just in school. It's about what you learn as you go along through life, and knowing who you are brings out the best in you. Yeah, thank you very much, Shaka. Anyone else want to add to that? Who am I going to go for? Ruvimbo, are you ready to answer this question, or should I?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, so what do you have to add to that?
I think Chaka, it is Chaka, right? Yes, Chaka. I think he pretty much covered the key points about education, especially when it comes to Africa, because in as much as there has been a substantial increase in the number of children with access to basic education, there's still a large number of children that still remain out of school. And those that are in school, there's a big gap with the quality of teaching and the quality of learning that is provided, especially that in rural areas, for example. So I believe that in Africa, there's still a huge gap. There's still a lot of things that needs to be done in terms of just improving the quality of education that these young people are receiving, and also access to education. When you look at some of the fees, for example, because I had the privilege of learning in Zimbabwe when I was young, and then also having education within the United Kingdom as well. So when we look at the basic fees, for example, in the United Kingdom, you've got free education up until you go into obviously your university, etc. Whereas in Africa, for example, in Zimbabwe specifically, we don't have those privileges. So you've still got young people that need basic education, that can't afford to go to school, that can't afford just basic preschool learning. So what I'm asking is that some of these fees, in comparison, like in Zimbabwe, you've got kids that can go to school for a term and you're paying such amount as $30, for which someone who doesn't have $30 is such a significant amount of money. But then I feel like there's gaps, there's things that the government can do to boost education. Why not bring in free education? I mean, these conversations has been happening for a long time about allowing free education to, tertiary and primary school kids, but up until now, nothing has yet to be done. So I feel like there's still room. I mean, it's good to have these conversations, but more action needs to be put in place for young people to just receive the basis of education.
Wow, thank you very much for highlighting that. It's very, very important to have access to basic education. I think that sets you up for life, really. There are people who haven't gone the full term, gone through masters and PhDs and whatnot, but with the basic education that they have, they're able to see, kind of being able to build up thinking skills and being able to see things in a different way. And they move on from there. There's certain entrepreneurs that we know who only had the basic level of education, and they are doing great things now. So I think just the basic level of education is fundamental, but then again, not everyone has access to the basic level of education because of school fees. So that's something that we need to raise awareness and let governments know and let our leaders know that they should do something, because we are the next generation, and we want to make sure that our people are capable of living. So thank you very much for adding to that, Ruvimbo. Next, I will go to Samuel. Samuel, if you're ready to speak, let me know. If not, I'll pass on to Sarah and I'll come back to you. So just indicate somehow, either by a message in the chat or unmuting yourself. Samuel? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to handle some projects in Nigeria as my team is having a project right now. So sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
So should I come back to you later or?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. So we'll come back to you later. Sarah, are you ready? The same question. Hello, Sarah, can you hear me? Okay, we'll just give them a chance to respond when they're able to. But yes, moving on to education, is there anything else that we want to add to education? There's so much we can talk about with regards to education. Oh, okay, I think Sarah's unmuted herself. Sarah, are you ready? Okay. There's so much we can add to it with regards to education. So you've mentioned kind of knowing yourself and designing actually a good curriculum that's more effective. And Ruvimbo's mentioned basic access to education. Is there anything else that we can talk about with regards to education or the lack of education? What's the problem? What's the issue? What's the challenge of education in Africa? There's so many things.
Just to top up on that, on the point, yes, that she raised about free education to a certain level. I feel like the biggest issue that Africans were suffering from specifically is the language barrier. You would find that someone is in the rural areas, born in the villages, and everything they have to learn it in a language that they have to actually learn over the years because of the school, and they're learning from someone else who also is struggling with the language. That's how crazy that situation is. And you would find out that, I'll give you an example of China. China is doing really well because everything is in their language. And there's no misunderstanding on that. There are no misconceptions on that. And look at the economy, because they are creating demand. At the end of the day, when you go to China for school, you have to learn their language, which means that there is demand for things that should be there. When you're going there because there's a specific value that you have to attend, not because you have the privilege to go there. So you'd find out if people would come to Africa and they would go to specific countries and they had specific languages, we would find out that instead of us looking at certain people as certain people or certain businesses as a privilege, we would actually look at it as for what it is, as a business. And we would actually have the value because we are the ones in control of the things that these people are looking for, because they have to speak our language to get the things from us. And even the mathematics that we would learn, I don't think would be the same that the world is learning. It would be, even the subjects that we would learn in our own language will be specifically tailored for our country so that we can be contributing outside our country. And the value, that's where the value is. And we say that education is actually the key that eradicates poverty. But then how is it going to eradicate poverty when it has no value? So there's a lot that we need to look into when it comes to talking about education, the systems themselves. And the biggest problem is that when it comes to funding, in terms of the education system itself, we're talking about free education in primary schools, but like here in Malawi, it's just primary schools. The secondary level is subsidized if it's government. But then at the end of the day, the subsidized fee is something that people are struggling to get. And you're looking at it in a way that, okay, let's say we get the funding and we do the free education to the, let's say, secondary level. It's not going to work because we don't have politicians in Africa. We have business people who have gone in politics for their personal gain. Now, the level of corruption is very high because they're there to gain something material-wise. So it's very crazy. The system is just interwebbed, if that's a word that I can use, is just so interlinked, rather, to the point whereby we are failing to pinpoint what is what and what is influencing what. But then we're dealing with situations on bare ground. For example, education, we're looking at matters of education instead of looking at what is influencing the poor delivery in education. Then we're talking about funds. All that money comes to fix a problem in education that is being influenced by politics, lack of policy, lack of delegation of services. So it's really, really a big situation, a very big situation. Once we start to look into it, we'll all go back to the issues of politics. And if we want to fix that problem, we'll all go back to the general issue now that's going global. We're looking at the riots. Why? Because they're trying to fix the root of all the problems that are in the country by trying to go back into that center of where are we going wrong? Because the education we're talking about, it's very easy. It's just a matter of you waking up and teaching someone your skill, and they can be sustained for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
let me I'll close off on this issue that if we're looking at the term of education itself, the biggest education that we have failed is in our identity as Africans as well, because we have diverted our cultures because our parents were supposed to teach us the way of the land, and that was supposed to sustain us. And it's not there anymore because we're adopting just to attain an image that has been regarded as the right image, the approved image. So the education is so deeply influenced by a lot of factors that are not brought to light. No wonder we have so much going on in education and there's no change.
Wow. 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 There's a lot there. You dropped some gems in there. Very, very true. The fact that we actually have to learn, learn in another language before we can actually learn. That's two challenges. There's two challenges in itself. And I guess it's the fact that because Africa was largely colonized. So we're trying to, we've adopted the language of our colonizers. We've also adapted the curriculum of our colonizers, but their curriculum's changed. So we are behind. We're behind, and we don't have identity. I mean, we look to the West for everything. But we actually had innovation before the West came. So very, very important. Knowing identity, that's very important. And the free education, how many of us actually here know how much the budget of our country is allocated to education? Like, do we actually, do we listen to the budget, what do you call it, the budgetary announcements where they say this amount of money is going to go to education, this is going to go into health, this is going to go to that. Very, very important to know exactly what is put in place. That way we can actually hold our politicians accountable. You set aside this money for education, and you said 2 years ago that there was going to be free education. Why is it not happening? But yet this money is going into education. I don't see any change in education. Things are getting worse. So where's all this money going to? So anyway, that's very important. So I think I'll go to Sarah. Are you all ready now?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes.
Well, Chaka has pretty much covered most of the area, and coming from the same country as him, I can say that what he referred to, where kids are still learning how to break grasshopper, when you actually come to the real world where you have to make a living on a day-to-day. You're not going to catch the grasshopper and make money out of it. No. So the major challenge here is the current education system and the mundane native teaching. The other thing that causes kids not to go to school sometimes is boredom and distance. Say, for example, in Malawi, a kid will walk 5 kilometers just to get to school. That's a drawback for them. Then they only go on Monday. By Thursday, they'll never go back. And the next thing is they're going to get married. That way the chain keeps going and going. So the foundation, like Chapter says, is what has to be fixed. These schools could be brought closer to the rural areas, in the villages where kids don't have to stop all the way 5 kilometers to school. And you asked about the money, the budget, where the money goes. It goes in the politicians' money. The sad thing about Africa, for example, Malawi, there's too much corruption. It might be budgeted every year where to build a school. 5 years down the line, you will never see the school.
So just 1 second, there's a lot of background noise, so we can't really hear what you're saying. So if it's possible that you can move to a different area, then and come back. If it's possible, I'll give you some time to adjust. And I'll take Samuel, if you're ready. Just give me a thumbs up if you're ready. If not, I'll read a few of the comments. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll read some comments. Okay, so we have language barrier is real. Maybe we need a few languages that all Africans know how to speak. Most European citizens know French, German, Spanish, Russian, and another Finnish language. And so, Christine also says, very true, identity is a big problem for Africa. God help us. And Julia says, majority of Africans are youth. The challenge comes that the political heads majority are not of this generation, whereby they have failed to understand what is really needed for tangible and right education systems. Very, very true. They're mostly old men, to add on to that, attitude, mindset, and early self-discoveries in terms of understanding our abilities. Very, very important. I think that's what Chaka has been hammering on. And yes, so, okay, Samuel's not ready yet. Sarah, if you're not,
I'm ready.
Samuel. Okay, fantastic. Yes.
Hi. So sorry. I apologize.
Multitasking.
Okay. Okay. So I think Chaka, actually said he was on fire. So thank you, Chaka, for pointing out some few fire. What I would talk about is education. The problem is we have a weak education system that is not adding to the growth of today's youth. All right. Now, let me ask this simple yet complicated question. Why is it that we have young people graduating every year and they are still not participating in the economic growth? Why is that? Most young people, the issue is we depend on government jobs, and when it's not forthcoming, we get frustrated, and we have young people roaming the streets of Africa, trying to do anything to survive. There should be a change in our education system to enable more youth to get involved in nation building and personal financial growth as well. And I think it was I can't pronounce the name, the lady who said something about our curriculum. The problem is our current education curriculum do not match the nature of our workspace in Africa. They do not provide young people with enough critical skill to succeed today in today's economy. Now we're talking about education. Now, I feel like there should be a change in our educational system. Like there should be a new phase in our education system. Now, for example, we need to make sure that youth are more creative to participate in the development of their various country, but we are not actually investing in our education. That's where the problem is. Now, I'm thinking that, for that change to come, we need to put more mentoring into our education system. And we also need to make sure that the younger generation have that mindset to think. Now, for example, my organization, Umbrella for the African Child, we started doing something, I think it was last 2 years, and we call it Merging Talent with Education. Now, what we do is we organize programs to, get these kids to be creative enough to want to, sell their craft. The last event that we did was an art competition where we actually have 5 schools participating, and we have like different students making a drawing, amazing drawing, and we sold those drawings, and the proceeds was given back to the kids. And not just giving them back the money for their craft, we also let them know how they can also sell their drawing. So that is how you also make this children to have this entrepreneurial spirit, because we need to start building the mindset of our children right from secondary school, primary school. Let them know how the job market is. We are so focused on mathematics and science, and we forget about the creative aspect about the children. They should be creative enough to want to think beyond their traditional classroom. We are so focused on the traditional classroom that, every morning we sit in the class from 8 to 4, we go back home, we come back the next day, the same routine, 8 to 4, go back home. But there should be a system where we take these kids out of the classroom, go into the real world, see how it is. Connect this kids with mentors. I work with kids and I see how frustrated they are when it comes to school. In Nigeria, there's a saying where they say school na scam. Okay, and I don't blame them for saying school na scam. I don't blame them because they are frustrated. The system is not working. I have a lot of friends who graduated from school and yet no job for them to want to do anything. And we still go back to school, we still sit down and we're still focused on mathematics. We still focus on English. We still focus on, science. Forget about that. What about art? Let's talk about art, for example. Not just about drawing, but about fashion too. We also have kids who are into fashion. Why can't we organize a program where we look for those students who are good into fashion and let them do something, and at the end of the day, they sell their designs, make money for themselves, and not just selling it, but show them a pathway where they can know that, okay, when you make this, you sell this. When you make this, you sell this. Now imagine the type of leaders that we are actually building and putting into the workspace. To be honest with you, right now, what we have in Africa are frustrated young people. You go to Mokola market, if you step on a young person, you are dead. They are so frustrated that they will insult you. Why is that? You go to Nigeria, you go to my community at Jekwele, and you talk to a young person, the way they talk to you is like they've been angry since childbirth. Why is that? The economy is not adding to anything. We're not growing. And for us to grow, we need to make sure that our educational system is solid. I love what Chaka said. Chaka said something about teaching them in their local language. Now, last year, when I had the opportunity to go to Northeast region for a project, now in this community that I went to, South Sobigi, they don't know how to speak English, okay? All they do there, they speak their local language. And for me, it was very hard because I don't even know how to speak Chi. Even my Ghanaian language, I don't know how to do that. The only thing I can speak is English. So you see, for me to go to a community like Northeast region and not knowing how to communicate is another thing. And what they were doing there, the sad thing that they were doing there was when a teacher is teaching them, oh shoot. You all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. So the sad thing in this region, the sad thing in Northeast is that when you have a teacher, because most of the teachers that have been posted in Northeast region are in Kumasi. All right. So when the teacher is teaching the students and he's speaking English and they are not understanding, what he does is he leaves the classroom and run to the house of a teacher who knows how to speak the local language, and then call him and then say, please, can you come and interpret for us in your language? So you see, so I interact with these teachers and I see how frustrated they are to teach children. So in as much as we are talking about education, we also need to be careful about our teachers too. We need to make sure that we put teachers who want to teach the children. We need to make sure that our teachers are sounded to want to teach these children. Right now, what we have in our educational system is teachers who are only working for the salary. Let's be honest.
True.
We don't have teachers who are intentionally, they want to see the growth of their children. They only want their salary. I see this happening not just in Ghana, in Nigeria also. I just sit down, I interact with teachers, and then you just tell me, Samuel, like this month ending, the pay will come, we go chill, and I'm like, you don't even talk about the impact that you have on these children. You're talking about how you will chill after, you get a salary, and it becomes a problem. And for me, that is so passionate about children, like I bore, to be honest with you. So in as much as we're talking about education, we also need to make sure that we put teachers into our educational system who really want to teach these children. And now we talk about opportunities. Now, let me just round up. We talk about opportunities. You see, the issue is that as a teacher, you're not just teaching these children mathematics, English, social studies, art. You're also making sure that they are connected with opportunities. Now, as a teacher, you need to make sure that you know who your students are. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, you know their gifts. And when you realize what their gifts are, you need to make sure that you look for opportunities for that child. That is your job. Your job is not just to come to class and teach them and go home. Your job is to look for opportunities for that child. If I'm in a classroom and I have two students who are good in playing football and who are not really good in education, I will make sure that I go all out to connect that child with a football academy. That is my job as a teacher. And as a teacher, you are a mentor. A lot of teachers don't understand that. As a teacher, you are definitely a mentor to that child. So you need to make sure that you look for the strength, the gift of that child, and you look for opportunities. Most teachers that we have today don't even know how to tap into opportunities. So if a teacher don't know how to tap into opportunities, how can they tap into opportunities for this younger generation? That's a problem. That's an issue.
Wow. Thank you so much, Samuel. Thank you so much, Samuel. You raised some very, very important points on there, which actually leads me to our next point. Our next point let me just show you the slide again. I'm going to share my screen, and then I think we'll spend about 15 minutes on each section. So we'll kind of round off this one here. So as you can see on my screen, we have education was a good lead up to unemployment, and then financial support, and then peer pressure. So what we're going to do is we're going to tackle unemployment next, and we'll give 15 minutes for this slot to talk about unemployment, and then we'll go to financial support, and then peer pressure. We'll end off with peer pressure. So actually, I'll regulate the time, so I might cut you off at some point because we need to talk about opportunities as well. So unemployment, we started off with let me stop sharing, with education, which leads to everything really, because that's the start of our journey. Unemployment, what is the main challenge of unemployment? I start with Sarah. I think you didn't get the chance to talk, so I'll start with you, Sarah, if you're in a place where you can talk. If not, I will start with Ravimbo. If you're in a place, just give me a thumbs up if you're in a place where you can talk. So we know that there's a job issue, there's jobs issues in most parts of the world, right? Particularly in Africa. So I think I'll start with you, Ravimbo. What is the main challenge of unemployment? Why are there no jobs? You have 2 minutes. Thank you so much, Samuel. Yes, you have 2 minutes, Ravimbo, if you're able to share. Yes.
I think my internet is being a bit unsteady right now, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to focus on one because there's so many different points we can pinpoint when we talk about the challenges when it comes to unemployment. But there are things that we can control as young people. and there's certain things that we cannot. For example, we can control the number of, let's say, job applications we send, the number of opportunities we seek, the number of doors we knock on. And I love this saying that says, focus on goals, not on obstacles, right? But at the same time, there are other factors that are affecting us, which are beyond our control. Now, one of the challenges that I'm going to speak about economic inequality. This is a big factor when it comes to unemployment challenges, especially in Africa. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Oh,
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my internet is just being so crazy right now. So yeah, I was saying I'm going to speak about economic inequality, because I believe this is one of the biggest challenges in Africa, well, specifically in Africa, when it comes to challenges in unemployment. Now, when we talk about economic inequality, we're talking about inadequate job opportunities and potential that affects young people. Now, for me, this is a huge factor, because if you look at the distribution of income and opportunities between different social groups, it's a big thing. It is a concern in most countries and around the world, not just in Africa, but often people that are trapped in poverty with a little chance to, climb up the social ladder. Now, being born into poverty should not mean that you remain there. Do you know what I mean? Your present circumstances doesn't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you need to start. And we're constantly saying that young people are the future leaders. So help us help others. I spoke about free education. I spoke about at all levels. I spoke about enhancing skills. We spoke about instilling different training policies that people can do. Now, there are conversations that are being heard about several countries that are now exploring whether basic income, there should be basic income happening around the world. But my thing is, we've mentioned education, we've mentioned all these factors, but social inequality and economic inequality still remains a big thing, because we all don't have a fair ground. We don't have fair opportunities to be able to prosper in different places. This goes on to access to leadership, right? We are saying all these things, and we're saying, let us do these entrepreneurship programs. Let us do this training programs. Let us, let us get better education. But the fact is, young people don't have access to places of influence right now. There's a big gap between there's a big gap between access to opportunities, access to places that actually matter, where we can actually have a voice and, put in things that actually affect us as young people. We're not occupying places of influence because there isn't room being created for us to do so. It's great for us to have these events and these discussions, but we're not being given the opportunity to occupy spaces where we can make the decisions that affect our generation. Times have changed, social norms have shifted. Maybe we as young people are just, maybe we're just not angry enough. But what I'm saying is, one of the biggest ways for us to challenge this unemployment issue is to create opportunities and access for us in places that actually matter.
Thank you very much, Ruvimbo. Very, very well spoken. Economic inequality, we need to keep that in mind, and having a fair playing field. I think it's the same everywhere, because some people in the West is also a problem, that when you're born into a group that's not very wealthy, you're likely to end up in the same group. It's very, very hard to move up. So very solid points on that. That affects everyone in every country, not just Africa. Chaka, I will go for you next. Anything else to add? And you have 2 minutes, please.
I have 2 points that I've picked up. The first one was from Samuel, when he was asking something to do with graduates, the amount of graduates that are being released every year from universities. I feel like the tertiary system was designed so that we can all contribute to our countries, but not to develop our countries.
Wow.
Which is crazy though. So if we could actually change how the system flows from contribution to development, because basically, if you look at the entire system of the world, basically what we're doing is just contributing tax. And the amount of contributions are getting high because the systems are not delivering according to the population. That's why we're hearing things about population control and all that. And the issues of unemployment are getting high, not only for the people who are educated, but for everybody. Because here's the thing, people are living life as without being conscious of what life is. Then they come to a certain point where everyone has to be responsible. And actually, the system has to actually function. We have to all contribute. But then how do we contribute? Because the contribution flows in a lot of ways. One, the responsibilities to family, your loved ones, to self, and to the nation. That's why we have to look at the community as well. Development starts at community level, and then district and national, however it should be. Now you're looking at the inequality of the economy that has just been actually put out there to say that just because we're born poor, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there, which is very true. And I really agree with that. But then what we also need to look into is that as young people, we have to start developing the things that we're really passionate about. And we have to also understand that there's no overnight success. There's nothing like I'll start a business today, next week I'm going to be a millionaire. It doesn't work like that. Hence going back to the root of all this, which is the education system. What we need to educate our fellow people. For you find someone who has graduated, has a master's, but then has not even gotten into the real education of life. They don't even know what life is all about. Now they're out there and realize, you know what? It doesn't matter what you have, whether you have a master's degree, whether you're a professor, if you don't have money, you're useless. Because we have actually put a currency to the contribution. So it's a very big problem. And we just have to actually look into it with a positive mindset to say, you know what is it that we can do as youth and where can we start? The government will not support us until we do something for ourselves. Because if you look into every development sector, if you go to anyone to sponsor you, nobody sponsors ideas no more. The question is always the same. What have you done? So we need to change the mentality. I think we should have a different sector of education where it has to deal with those who have finished what they really wanted to learn. Now they should go into another sector of education where they can learn about real life and what is expected from them, a development sector, a development class rather, where they go out now and they're like, okay, I really wanted to be an artist. I really wanted to do this. I've always wanted to do this. And how can I use what I've acquired to achieve that with minimal resources? To close on that matter, of all my projects that I've done them on a zero budget, not because of funds. No, I don't have, but the passion has driven me to places where I didn't even believe it has happened. So you just have to actually see, if you're really passionate about it, go for it. And if you go for it, you should know that just because you started alone, it doesn't mean that it's just going to be for you, or you're just going to be alone. Along the way, if you develop it with a passion, you will actually house a lot of people who are also looking for their passions as well. The good thing about entrepreneurship is that when you start and you have an entrepreneur mindset, you develop others into that mindset. And we have a lot of businesses going. That's where the issue of entrepreneurship is actually more of an antidote to the issues of unemployment. Okay. I think that's all I have to say for that.
Thank you, Shaka. Very, very good points mentioned there. Sarah, you're up next. You've got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yes, you are an entrepreneur, so you know all about employment. So enlighten us.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Much better.
All right. I'm just going to tap into what Dee and Chaka have both said. It all centers around demand deficiency as well. When you look at what some say, it says a high number of graduates and about 1,000 graduate every year. And it's the same companies, the same banks, there are no new companies being developed or being built. And when you see the people in the banks, they're not even retiring. So there's no space for new people. You literally have to wait for someone to die just to have space in the whole line, the whole structure is going to move up to create space for one at the bottom. So I think, like myself, I worked for 8 years, but I didn't see a future in being employed because I was 15 when I started working for other reasons, and I quit at 23. I'm 26 now. 2 years in entrepreneurship, and I can say it's the best decision I ever made. Because you see, when you're employed, your mind is still, it's closed up. You can't think outside the box.
Wow.
You just wait for that day you get a promotion. It would never come. It never comes. You're going to have to wait until you're in your 30s for you to get somewhere. But in entrepreneurship, Chaka said, it's not easy. I'll agree to that. It's not easy, but there's progress. Every day there is progress and there is change. So we just have to be innovative and create more jobs for ourselves. Business is not that difficult to start, but you just need to be strong and know what you're good at. I can't start fishing. Okay, like I told you before, Claudia, you can't ask the fish to climb the tree. So if I know that my passion is in sales and marketing, then I'm just going to market for myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. And yeah, you've mentioned a new point that we can actually go into, branch into financial support. I think Samuel Shaka mentions something about zero budget. So financial support is also one of the hindrances for the youth. Is it only a hindrance in terms of maybe if you want to just start a business, having the capital to start? Is that the only area where financial support is an issue? Which other areas is lack of financial support a challenge for the youth? And maybe you can use your own examples of, where you've had challenges like financial support, maybe even accessing education, further education. I think I'll go for Samuel if you're ready for this one. I'll just give you a few seconds to respond. If not, I'll move to Chaka because I think he's mentioned something on zero budget. I want to tap into that. Okay, Samuel, go.
Okay.
So we're talking about financial support and you have 2 minutes. Lack of financial support, yeah.
Okay, for me, I think I'll talk about me personally. I think it has to do with grants actually, because a lot of young people want to, they want to do something, they want to contribute to the growth of the economy, but it's very, very difficult for them to get grants. And because of the high competition right now in the market, we have a lot of NGOs, a lot of young people who are driven to want to do something. So it's like you coming on board, you are like 1 in 1,000. So to get grants is very, very difficult. And that is why you see a lot of young people, they have ideas, they want to contribute, they want to do something, but where are the grants though? The competition is so high in the market right now that it's also, frustrates young people to just want to give up their ideas and just, go do something else. So that is also a big challenge. Now, I remember when I started Umbrella for the African Child, it was just like what Chaka said, like without any money. So the only thing that I did was I was very strategic enough to connect myself with like-minded people. That is what has actually brought me this far. Connecting yourself with like-minded people and the resources will come to you. It's as simple as that. Youth needs to, as a young people, need to make sure that we are very strategic in terms of our networking. All right. It's not about the money. It's about the resources. It's about the people. Now, when you talk about resources, it's not about money. Resources can also be people. People are the one who brings the money to you. All you have to do is be passionate about what you do, be driven, be committed, be dedicated, be fire burn. And people will see that in you and they will bring the resources to you wherever you need. Okay. Now I started everything what I was doing in Ghana. And because I was doing it in Ghana, when I went back to Nigeria, the resources, when I wanted to do the first project in Nigeria, till date, how I got the money for the first project, it still amazes me sometimes because of how I actually dedicated myself for what I want to do. And people were just bringing support to me. So I was very strategic in terms of how I connect with people. So we shouldn't always think about the financial aspect of our business. We should think about the people that we want to bring into the business. They bring the resources to us, not you actually. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing that, Samuel. That's very, 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 you mentioned something in there, people bring the resources. So make sure that, I think is making sure your product is marketable as well, and is something that people can buy into. So that's also a key one. So Rivimbo, you are next on my list. If you're ready, let me know if you're ready. If not, I'll go to Shaka.
Yes, I am ready. I just want to add on to what Samuel actually said, because we can talk about lack of like financial support, but he actually mentioned the key point about resources, that sometimes the resources don't only come in finances, but also about networking and putting yourself out there. What I've realized is that there's a common narrative about young people not getting enough funding, young people not getting enough support for projects that they have. And it's a case that this only appears to a certain number of young people. There are other young people out there, for example, that don't have the same drive, that don't have the same passion, and that don't see things in the same way, but they also jump on the same bandwagon that they're not getting opportunities and they're not getting funding to do certain things. So then, okay, if you're not gonna get funding, and this is what you've realized, you're not getting funding, so switch up the plate, tap onto different things. Someone just mentioned about networking and putting yourself out there. Put yourself in places that's going to attract attention to yourself. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you having conversations with? Who is speaking into your life? Who's speaking into your business? Change the narrative yourself. I'll give myself, for example, when I started the podcast On My Mark, right? This was just an idea. I had so many fears that, and so many like self-limiting beliefs that I was like, oh my God, if I start this, am I going to get funding to push? Am I going to reach the numbers that I need? But I just had to overstep that barrier and then just put myself out there. But if I tell you the number of opportunities that have come up because I've started On My Mark, it's been tremendous. Like, I put myself in a position to attract. Whatever your light is, just put it out there, because light radiates, but then light also attracts. So sometimes it's not about sitting back and saying, I'm trying to look for money, I'm trying to get someone to support me. It's just about trusting the belief that you have what it takes, trust your vision, put yourself out there and just go with it. Network with the right people, connect with the right people, put yourself in places that matter.
Wow, thank you so much, Rivimbo. That's loaded. That's very, very loaded. I think, yeah, there's a common trend here. I like the people. We talked about financial resources, but then we're seeing the people in there, because at the end of the day as well, the people are the ones going to decide who to, to give you the money or not. So it's very important that you win them. You have to win the people, which reminds me of that book, Winning, Making Friends and Influencing People. I started to read it. I never finished it. I never finished that book. I'm going to read it. So I think Sarah and Chaka, you have, I think I'll give you literally 1.5 minutes, 1 minute. Anything to add to that? Because you are both, I want to hear, Chaka, from you first for your zero budget. Just tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll go to Sarah after.
On the zero budget, here's what actually prompted me to move into that zero budget lane. Before, the young generation, especially in Malawi, woke up to the social networking or the social arena of work, helping in building certain aspects of the country, projects and stuff, initiatives. There was a generation, the older generation used to use orphanages and other social NGO like initiatives to scam money from outside organizations. They would say that I have an NGO, I'm doing this for these kids, and they will use that money, buy their houses, buy their cars, they're doing well. Financial situation solved. So that's where the issue of zero budget came in. For you to actually get the actual funds and get the actual trust from the investors that are coming in with a pure intent to help you develop the vision that you have, you really need to actually move with your passion, solely on your passion. And that means that zero budget. And zero budget only means that we are working with whatever resources are there, meaning that the only thing that you have are resources. And to talk on that resources, just to end on that note, I have found out that because of that passion, it has opened up doors, serious doors for me, that I've actually found a team that actually is there to say, you know what initiative are we doing next? And where do we come in? And what can we do? And how do we make this happen? And who do we talk to? And there are people who have opened up doors for us that we couldn't, the money or the funds that we could have gotten or we could have looked for, we couldn't even get that. Or the time that we would have spent looking for resources or the finances, we could have developed another initiative. Maybe that's the mentality that we've developed that has pushed us in that lane. But I find it very, very action worthy than sitting down waiting for someone else to sponsor your ideas before you actually take off.
Wow. Thank you very much, Chaka. Points have been brilliant so far. Thank you all so much. And Sarah, I think you started off with us, so I think we'll if there's anything to add, you can add to the next point that you make. The next one after financial support was peer pressure, bad peer pressure. Now this one is going to be interesting. Peer pressure. The youth are facing challenges for peer pressure. There's a lot of, gangs, drugs, so many things. Scamming, that's a very popular one. Fraud, that's a very popular one. Especially, I'll say, I'm not naming any countries. Okay. Yeah, that's a very, very popular one. So let's talk about bad peer pressure. Why? Why are they doing this? We know why they're doing it, because there's nothing out there for them. They finish their education, they expect to get a job, and there's nothing. But they're all linked, really. There's no financial support if they wanted to start a business. Now, what do we do? What do we do as influencers over here? How do we influence our communities for good? And because you are all in charge of an organization, you are all placed to talk about this. How do you influence for good? So now we're going to switch over to the opportunities now. How do you switch for good? How do you make an impact when there's bad all around you? So I'll start with Sarah for this one. How do you make an impact? Opportunities were mentorship. So let's tie this both in. To talk about mentorship and how else do we make an impact to flip the script? Sarah, if you're ready, let me know. If not, I'll start with Samuel. Let me know. Okay, Samuel, go for it. All right.
Okay, I know you were thinking about saying Nigeria, but I'm gonna make that one slide. Okay. So for me, I'm gonna share a quick story. Now, I remember in 2019 when I went back to Nigeria after completing my education in Ghana. In my community at Jegunle, if you don't know at Jegunle, you can go research it, Google it, wherever it is, and you will see the issues that is happening in Jegunle. Jegunle is a very notorious place, and that's where I grew up. So I remember when I first came, I went to Nigeria to receive an award and also attend a mentorship bootcamp. And in my community, I realized that a lot of things have changed, Yahoo boys. I remember a lot of things have changed. Youth were engaged in all sorts of illegal activities. I saw, children at the age of 6, they were, smoking, some were engaged in, prostitution, and all of this were happening in my community. And I was like, something needs to be done in this community. Now, I had a platform. The platform was called Umbrella Ghana. Okay. And I was like, something needs to be done in this community. So I spoke to a few of my friends around on how we can, help start a project. And they told me specifically, like, Samuel, don't do anything. No, like, there's no point in it. Don't do anything. Don't start nothing. Just leave the community as it is. Do your program, go back to Ghana. But I was like, no. Like, I needed to do something in this community, in as much as I'm not a Nigerian, but I was born in Nigeria. So it doesn't matter whatever country that you find yourself in, if you're in UK, wherever it is, you make an impact in that community, all right? So I was like, I need to do something here. Now, they told me I shouldn't do anything. I should just let it go. I should stop doing nothing. I was like, okay. So I was sad because I wanted to do something, but my friends told me not to do anything. And I was still, speaking to community leaders, on just to understand how the community is more, because I've left this place for like 8 years, coming back now, I need to understand more of how things are being run here. And I remember one particular day, it was like an epiphany for me. I saw 4 kids. They were running around and they were holding stick. And they were shouting, Elewo, Elewo, Elewo. So Elewo in Nigeria, in Yoruba, it means chase them, chase them, chase them. Okay? Hi, Stanley. It means chase them, chase them. And I was like, okay. And it dawned on me that in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, that stick is going to turn to cutlass. Now, they've seen that this is the trend in the community. They've seen how people fight in the community. They've seen how boys hold cutlass to fight in the community. So now they are now imitating those things. And I spoke to my friend. I was like, no, Frank, we need to do something here. Because in the next 10 years, this is the same people that will be speaking against the community. These small boys will be the one terrorizing the neighborhood. And he just told me, Samuel, we need to do something. And that was how everything kicked off for us in 2019. We did the first project in Nigeria. And then, we had like a lot of kids coming. We were speaking to them, just like what, I can't pronounce your name, was okay, see, yeah, we were speaking into their lives. We were building mentors who speaks into the life of this younger generation. We were trying to be not just.
Oh dear. Okay, internet went. Okay, you join us later. I guess I'll hand over to Ravimbo if you're able to share.
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to share briefly, actually. Claudia, you mentioned something before we started talking about peer pressure. You said, are some of the young people doing drugs or gang life or other things because of lack of opportunities? Now, I want to just say something, because in as much as there are external factors that are happening to us that we cannot control, there are a lot of internal things that we can change about ourselves to stop us from getting into certain places and stop us from getting into certain things. Now, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest pandemics that is happening right now, and that is that of social media, right? Social media is creating a lot of false pressure that people want to create and portray this perfect life on social media for people that they don't know. There is a huge lack of identity right now when it comes to young people, where we don't know who we are ourselves. If I was to ask every single person here right now to give me 5 values that they live and stand by, I can tell you it'll take a little bit of time before people can actually say 5 values that they live and stand by from the top of their head. This is where the issue is starting. We don't know who we are as young people. We have lost a sense of self-worth. We don't have an identity. So now we're looking at external factors. We're looking at things outside of us to determine who we are as young people. That's why it's so easy for so many of us to get pressured into doing certain things. Because if you don't know what you stand for, you will fall for anything. If you don't know where you're trying to get into in life, you will end up anywhere. So I feel like sometimes we put so much blame on external things. We put so much blame on what is happening around us, but we're not taking accountability for the things that we can do ourselves to change the influence that we have in the things that we want to achieve in this life. So I feel like in as much as we speak about things that are happening outside, let's also take time to analyze and evaluate things that you can do as an individual to stop all this pressure, to stop being pressured to do certain things, stop being pressured to go to certain places. Who are you? What do you stand for? What are your values? Because once you know your values, this will stop you from going to certain places. This will stop you from knowing where you draw the line with certain things in your life. Thank you.
Well said. Very, very well said. Oh, wow. That's so important. That is so important. Social media, that's another ball game. Now we have fraud, we have social media, and all of this, or everything's on social media. That's entirely, another ball game. Shaka, let's talk about, Rimbo's mentioned internal factors now, not external, internal factors, I believe. What else can you add to that? How do we make a change?
In regards to the change, I think we have to start looking at where the problem is. And with the problem, I think we have to start facing the realities of life and start answering some hard questions, like the ones you just pointed out. The reason why my organization, we basically focus on bridging the gap between intellect and emotions is because we realize that there's a huge gap in terms of emotional awareness. And when it comes to emotional awareness, we also need to understand that it's one of two. It's either we are a broken generation emotionally, or we have inherited whatever and whoever we are from an emotionally broken generation as well. You're looking at the emotions, how the emotions are flowing. For example, you're looking at how people are reacting over small things, people breaking down over the tiny things, and you're looking at how people respond to situations that don't even require violence, and you're looking at how people are talking to other people, the kindness and everything, things that we have inherited because we thought that that was the way of life until we came to the world and we started realizing to say, I think that wasn't right. But then let's say you're realizing that at the age of 20, 25, that, wow, that's not right. I need to leave. I need to change how my life has been scaled for the last 25 years. That means you have been affecting other people for the last 25 years. You have been influencing people that looked up to you without them knowing, that without you knowing rather, that they're looking up to you. So the emotional damage, it's so bad, literally bad. And the only way we can move forward is if we can actually make peace with who we are, and we can start from there. That's why we can all make the change, and we can all look at the peer pressure, because the peer pressure is not actually literally coming from the major peer pressure. It's coming from someone else who is literally broken and is looking for attention. And because they're looking for attention, they're in places that they are not supposed to be. Like, for example, you find very young kids in the street, not because they're orphans or they're calling themselves street kids, because they have seen that the street kids are getting a certain image just because of from the attention they're getting. He's bad, he's this, he's that, because they have never had attention from where they're coming from, and they're leaving their homes becoming street kids. They're attacking people, killing people, just to get the credit that they're looking for from the streets, because they feel like the streets will welcome them because the homes have failed them. And it's not only that, even the wealthy families, you'd find that the parents are always busy, they are never home, and kids are being raised by maids who don't even understand who they are personally. And their emotions are completely damaged. They're coming from a complete set of values and moral values that are not even equivalent to how the child or the environment of the child. And you find out to say, you know what, what's wrong with these kids acting all out? Now, pornography is actually something that doesn't shock people. Nudity is something that is now becoming the norm. Why? Because if they were coming from a space that actually fed all the emotional needs, we would have more moral values being displayed than what we see on, for example, on TikTok. Why? Because we're all looking for attention in the wrong places, because in the right places, the attention is not present.
Wow.
And
Thank
when
you so much.
some kid is on TikTok now, yeah, and because on TikTok now, every kid is on TikTok, and in Africa specifically, if you have a child 2 years, 1 year, they know how to operate your phone. We call them, this child is a genius. Instead of trying to regulate what the child should actually grow up to and what we really need to provide to the child.
Thank you so much, Shaka. You've mentioned emotional, and I just reminds me of the fact that sometimes people act out or act a certain way because they are hurt. Maybe they saw in their household there's a lot of fighting, maybe they have been abused before, so that's why they exhibit certain things. But then again, I'm just going to round this off with one comment. I personally, I struggle with rap videos. I struggle with rap culture because I personally feel like rap culture gives specifically Black people, a certain image that they feel they have to live up to. So I struggle with rap culture in general. So that's one place I know that a lot of young people get their influence from. Certain type of music, certain type of videos, and the things that are portrayed on the media. The media is a huge influencer. So that's just something I'm going to add to wrap up on the pressure. I'm going to share my screen to just show us what else came up in the poll. So as you can see, internships, scholarships, free education, mentorship. We can pick on a few of these to talk about. We can combine the bits related to education together. So we can talk about internships, scholarships. We can talk about internships and scholarships and graduate schemes. What kind of opportunities are available in your country? So I think we ended with Chaka, so I think I'll go for Sarah. What opportunities are available in your country for young people or the youth in these areas related to education, what they can gain from education? If you're, yeah, let me stop sharing.
I think in Malawi, the scholarships are not that much, very limited. And everybody, just like the rest of Africa, they're applying for the Chevening, Mary Global Health, Commonwealth. It's not that much. It's not something is accessible to everyone, and even the resources. Much of the youth, even if they get through secondary school, they don't have a laptop, and you can't even apply for a scholarship in the UK if you don't have a laptop. The English test, they've never done an English test. And like we said at the beginning of the discussion, English is a barrier. We speak Chichewa, others speak Tonga, Tumbuka. They might be smart, but because they're learning in a foreign language, they'll never understand or make something out of whatever they're learning. So I feel like the scholarships are there, yes, but only to the same people that were born in well-to-do families, but they don't go down to the bottom. The internships as well all stick around to a certain demographic, and the same people, not the same people exactly, but the same rank of people that went to uni, and after that, maybe their father helped them to get into Ilovo because a friend is a big boss there. So the challenge is still there. And I wouldn't say that Malawi is doing really good on the internships. No. I don't know, maybe Chaka will
add anything? Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. You broke up a little bit at the end, but yeah, scholarships are they're great opportunities, and they tend to send you outside of the country. And now what I'm also concerned about is, what do we do after going abroad? You hear of people, going abroad for their masters. Sometimes they stay in the country they went abroad to, and they never come back to their actual country. So now the challenge is in itself, what do they do after? And do they actually why do they think that there's no point in going back to their country? Because things are not in place. They don't know what to do. They're better off using their degree in the country that they went to do their masters in or whatnot. And now the floor is open for your contributions. Yes. Oh, Sarah, do you want to add? Okay, add one final thing, and then we'll go to the audience to also add. Yes.
Most people don't come back. They don't go back to their country of origin because, I mean, it's the UK. And you look at Africa, everything is trash. It's shit. The technology, opportunities. Some people that I've heard about, when they work in even home care jobs, they get almost a meal a week. And in Malawi, you'd have to be a big boss to make that amount of money. So the reason these guys are staying there is because of a better life. They'll come back home, but there's nothing here. So,
okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. I'm opening the floor for your questions and your contributions. So just put your hand up if you want to speak. Then it makes me know how much time I can allocate for people to speak. So if you're interested in contributing, please put your hand up. I'll go to who can I have for this one here. Opportunities. Just tell me about any opportunities you know about from working with youth or children. I'll go for Samuel for this one. So Samuel, what opportunities do you see? You've mentioned the bad things, but what opportunities do you see is available for the people that you work with in the rural communities or cities that you work in, if you're there, Samuel.
Yeah, I'm here. I think opportunities are there, but the only problem is that it all boils down to mentors. You know, young people don't have the right mentors to help them apply for these opportunities. You know, it's like we have a lot of scholarship program available, you know, but who will help you go through that rigorous, you know, application? You know, no one doesn't, we don't have that. Young people don't have that. You know, so it all boils down to, you know, the mentors. And for internships too, I think internships are there, like they are bunch, there are a lot of them, but it's not paid. So no young person wants to wants to do an internship that is not paid. Right now, young people, what we are craving for is money. We all want money. So if someone is telling me to come and, you know, do an internship for free, I no go, to be honest. You know, so for me, I feel like opportunities are there for the young people. We just need to make sure that we fish out these opportunities. There are art opportunities for young people, like people, like children who are good in art, you know, there are opportunities for them, you know. So for us, we need to like figure out how to tap into the opportunities. There are also fashion opportunities too for young people too, because right now, the trend right now is that African print is, you know, is going everywhere right now. Everybody wants to dress in an African way, in an African setting. So if we can get these young people, these young girls, young boys who are good into, you know, fashion designing, you know, we can tap into those opportunities for this young person, and then they make money for themselves and, you know, transform their financial you know, problems. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you very much, Samuel. And just on the back of that, Shaka or Ruvimbo, you can add to this. Maybe Shaka first and then Ruvimbo. Where do we find these opportunities? There are opportunities out there, but where do we find them? How do we find them? I'll go for Shaka. Shaka, if you're there. Okay, if not, then Ruvimbo. Ruvimbo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Where do we find these opportunities? Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna speak. Obviously, let me talk about Zimbabwe first, because that's where I currently am. Opportunities are starting to come about in Zimbabwe. I mean, we do have internship programs and scholarships, but the only thing with scholarships in Zimbabwe is you're most likely to get scholarships if you go to a good school, or you know. So it's like the scholarships are there, but they're only available to those people that can afford to attend to go to specific schools. So then when you look at other people that are not, you know, financially able to send their children to these schools, you know, those opportunities still lack. Internships are there. They're not great paying. And that's why a lot of young people turn to shun away from them. I mean, a lot of internships that are offered in Zimbabwe are for like NGOs and stuff like that. Those are like the most common ones, which there are quite a number, but obviously that then comes with you don't get paid for some of them. So many young people don't really want to then to be a part of such programs. But I believe right now young people in Zimbabwe are becoming more interested in business opportunities and just creating things for themselves, really, in terms of what can you actually start up by yourself, and then, you know, find donors, find people to sort of fund your idea and your business. But I realized that we also are living in a microwavable society where people just want things very fast. People want the fast life. People don't really want to get an idea, develop it, follow through 3 to 4 years without getting anything in return. People don't have that kind of patience anymore. Young people just want the money that comes right now, you know? So, you know, sometimes it's about finding what you're passionate about and just following it through, you know. Focus is follow one course until success. So find something you're passionate about, whether it's a business or it's an idea, and just be persistent with it and just have patience with it and actually try and see, you know, what you can make out of that.
So thank you very, very much. I love your acronym on focus. I never knew of that one. Follow one course until success. Okay, guys, remember that. focus. Okay. Yes. So thank you very much for sharing. And my final, we only have 10 minutes left. I want us to finish on time. I don't think no one's put their hand up to contribute. So I'm going to give you a chance before we do this final one. Oh, okay, Stanley. All right. So Stanley is going to contribute one thing. You have 2 minutes, Stanley. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think one thing that is also troubling us, the youth in a way, has to do with how people always want to take advantage so far as they are concerned and their skills are concerned. Some of these issues, when you try to bring them on board, people tend to tame them down because same people find themselves indulging in these acts. For instance, a lady that grows up with a skill has to go through certain stages or processes through people in order for the person to be able to acquire a certain status or position in life. And that is one thing that is killing us, especially where I am coming from, Ghana. These things are very common that people ought to take advantages of people. I witnessed a scenario where a coursemate of mine, she came to me and made a complaint that one of our lecturers was actually trying to take advantage of her just because, and it's not because she needed something, she's actually performing and doing well. And she has something that she needs to bring on board as an initiative. But as she was able to pitch it to the lecturer decided to have his way with her, which was very unfortunate. And I remember the very first time that she came to me, she told me that the lecturer was going to call and she wants me to be around and then listen to what goes on. So I even ended up making recordings of whatever that went on, and it was very inappropriate because I was very sad, and I was like, so just a young lady trying to go through dreams or go through life and facing these challenges, and at the end of the day, these things turns out to worry a lot of the young ones a lot because they end up taking up to the street, going through dubious means just to make things work for them. And at the end of the day, it doesn't add anything value to the life of young people. It doesn't add up anything valuable. So that's why I like the fact that Chaka was saying that when you go to social media, a lot of people are living false identity and trying to get attention just because of some of the things they've gone through in life. And some people, they were very good people growing up. They came from amazing homes. But because they had to go through, let's say, someone like this lecturer that I stated, now they turn out that, oh, after all, in life, when you need something, you need to give something. And that thing can be sex. It can be giving away your value. So why not just step out there and then start selling what I have to people for me to just make a living? And that is one thing that is also challenging in Africa at large, and especially where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stanley. So that taking advantage of people, that's very, very, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. Thank you for sharing. And Dorita, you have 2 minutes to add your point. I'm going to add you here. Yes. Or mute, Dorita. You're muted. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to raise the points that just to create awareness about our culture and legal issues related to the youth environment. Because when you were talking about education system, I was really into it because it's creative. It's all about the memory. It's all about memorizing everything. You just have to learn. It's not all creative. People finish the senior high school but don't know how to type. No, they don't know how to type. They don't know how to even use more advanced technology gadgets. But they call themselves they graduate from the senior high school and other stuff. But if we create something more creative in our school and education system, that is just like entrepreneurship, it's also even helped the mental system of every individual in the country. I'm in Ghana, for instance, but it's just like we are less to only the rich people in Ghana, only the rich people, only the people that can speak, that have advantage of other stuff.
I think you're frozen. Okay, Dora.
Really well, are doing great.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing, Dorita. You froze a little bit, but I think we got what you were trying to say. And very, thank you for sharing that. The practicality of knowledge. Lots of people, thank you. I'm just gonna, lots of people finish university and they don't, even critical thinking, problem solving is not there. So we need to equip our youth, our children with things that they actually need in life. It's not just book knowledge. Common sense is very important. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of African societies, being able to be solution focused, being able to see what's not there and actually being able to create it. Innovative, that's the word, being innovative. So thank you for sharing that, Dorita. And I don't think there's anyone else who wants to share. So my final, we only have 4 minutes left. So I think I only have one person share. One person will have to share. So Samuel, since you put your video on, so you're going to be the one to share. Do you have any final words for the youth? If you're able to speak though. Any final words for the youth? Actually, everyone will share, so you have 1 minute.
Yeah. I just want to tell the youth out there that social media, it's a wide platform that can create a lot of advantages to a lot of group of people. Because the phone I'm using and the access of technology I'm having right now, people have a lot more than me. But things that I'm trying to do, organization that I'm trying to building up and trying to work it, it's really inspiring because you don't have enough gadget to do a lot of stuff, but the little that we have, we still have to manage. Just in the well, we can find a lot of stuff that are really great now. We just need to inspirational and solidarity, creating a wall for all ages is really, it's really matters a lot. It's really matters a lot. So we just don't have to limit ourselves that we don't have this, so I'm not gonna do this. It's all over. I found we're not only original people, that's the group name, right? Not ordinary life, where I'm getting it right? So I find on social media, I'm into that youth engagement center in Africa, Ghana. So we're trying to build up the youth up here to have a free historicals in Ghana. So I saw it online, I was just like, wow, this is a youth movement conference, it's free, why don't I join? So I told my friends about it, but they were like, locally, when you tell your friends about getting more into the technology aspect, they'll be like, I don't have data, I don't have this, but they got data to watch other stuff on social media, Instagram and other platforms. Yeah, but they don't have time to engage themselves in more productivity acts that are gonna get good love and good impact on their lives.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dorita, for your final words. I hope you're all taking them on board. So no excuses, do your best, take the risk. Ruvimbo said, trust in your vision. So I believe we all have potential here. So whatever you have on your mind, trust in your vision to do it. And the obstacles, don't worry about them. Just pray and also develop that problem solving. You're probably not the first person to do it. So do some research, find out how someone was able to do it so that you can actually apply it. We only have 1 minute left, but we didn't quite start on time. So we might just go over time. I'm going to take a final words. It's like a pitch, 1 minute. final words from all the panelists. So Shaka, final words, and then drop your handle in there as well. Final word, you have 1 minute. So 1 minute for every panelist. That makes it 5 minutes left. Shaka, Go.
I hope I'm audible enough. I'm moving out to attend something, but I'll finish off with these words. There are three things that I would really love my fellow youth to also look into while they're contributing to their respective communities and the things that they do in life. The first thing that they really look into is value return. Not on the money side, but the value return. There should be something that you should gain from it. Second issue, you should also pay attention to the intellectual property of it and how you can actually evaluate the things that you are contributing when it comes to your intellectual property. And finally, the security and the potential of what you have. Never undermine that. Because if we undermine these three aspects, we'll be doing a lot of charity works, but we won't be moving. At the end of the day, we'll be very frustrated, very, very frustrated as people, key change makers, because we're not getting anything or actually attaining anything in return from the work that we're actually putting in. I think those are my last words.
Okay, thank you very much, Shaka. You can just type your handles in the chat for people to follow you. I know you're on LinkedIn, but put your handles. And next I'll go for Sarah. Sarah, the final words, and then you can drop your handle or social media handles in the chat after. And then Rovimbo and then Samuel last. So Sarah, you can go. Yeah.
I'm gonna close by saying that the sky is the limit. There's enough room for all of us and all the youth to start something for themselves, to be innovative. They don't have to wait for somebody to come and change their life. It just starts with a dream, with a goal in the notebook to write down a vision. So every youth out there should have a vision board where they can write everything they want to achieve. Secondly, youth should resist from spending so much time on social media. Social media is fake and nobody should believe what goes on there. I will never post my failures. I'll fake it till everybody believes it. So yeah, that's it. That's a wrap from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Drop your handles in your social media. If you have a page or anything, just put it in the chat. Rovimbo, final words. If you're able to talk. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Basically, well, thank you, Claudia, for this platform and for everybody that has attended, all the panelists. Like, this has been so amazing. And I just hope that what we just did today can go beyond just conversations and we can actually implement some of the things that we have discussed today. So just to finish off, I just want to encourage all of us to develop the spirit of resilience. Now, the reason why this is so important is for our mental transition is because we've all been stretched beyond a level that we could ever imagine that we could be stretched. Like, we've been through so much this year alone. I'm pretty sure each one of us have faced so many challenges and so many things in the past couple of years that has pushed us to the limit. But what I know is that we are more resilient than we actually realize. Now, resilience is that indescribable quality that we all have that lets life knock us down, but we come back stronger. So just remember that rather than letting failure overcome you and drain you, you have to find a way to always rise from the ashes. Like I said before, let's stop looking at all these external factors that we have to acquire all the time. You're thinking, oh, I have to learn to adapt. I have to learn to change. I have to learn to be more resilient. I'm telling you this, you are more resilient than you think. You possess the qualities and you have the ability to be this person. Remember that your comeback is always, always greater than the setback.
Wow. Thank you very much, Rovimbo. Sound words. Come back, step back, focus. You're dropping them. And finally, Samuel, final words, and then drop your social media in the chat after.
Okay. So what I'm basically going to say is to the young people is take your mind away from social media and focus on you. I think that's the very, very important thing. And also take it easy on yourself. All right. With everything going on social media right now, there's so many fake life, so many fake things happening. And the more we are into social media and taking our minds away from what we are supposed to do, then there's a big gap, a huge gap in our lives. So take your mind away from social media, focus on you, be passionate, be dedicated, be committed on yourself. Make sure you work on yourself. Look for opportunities and also be strategic about networking. Go for programs, go for any event, be strategic in building your circle, and make sure that you have people in your circle who love you, who are committed for your growth, and who want to see you advance in any area of your life. And I will also end with saying, volunteer your time more, because there are so many opportunities in volunteering. So volunteer your time more. I am very concerned about volunteering. I love my volunteers. UTAC right now in Nigeria, they're all committed, doing amazing things, and I'm so proud of them. So to the youth out there, volunteer your time more. I know that you might not get paid for that, but trust me, the result that will come from you volunteering your time will be bigger and better than even the money that you get. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our panelists, wise words, and everyone who's actually stayed on and joined. Really appreciate you joining this session. And Samuel, just drop your social in the chat before we go. And yes, it's been an enlightening conversation. So we're going to leave it here, but this is not the end of it. I have all your contact details, and we're hoping that we can set up something that's that can, bring a change in our various countries. We have 4 countries represented here. So we'll try and see if we can set up something. So there might be a group set up on Facebook or something, and we'll have a conversation on what we can do to create opportunities in our different countries. So watch out for that. I'll be sending an email if we do anything. But thank you so much for joining. And this is available on YouTube. So if your friends missed it, they can go on YouTube and find it. But till then, this is the end of it. Oh, before we go, No Ordinary Life is pretty much a social enterprise, and we have merchandise available. So as you can see, I've got my No Ordinary Life hat here. I've got my No Ordinary Life t-shirt here. It's all on our YouTube. And if you do want to buy a t-shirt or a hat, WhatsApp us. Go on our Instagram, on our LinkedIn, and send us a WhatsApp message. We'll tell you where you can buy them from. And please invest into this, because we are going places and we are touching lives. So without further ado, we are going to leave it here. And I'll say picture. Sorry, we're going to do a picture. So let me remove, we'll do a gallery view and we'll do a picture. I'll do this quickly. Yes. Okay, so picture. If you're able to show your face if you can, and we'll do a picture. So, okay, ready? Are you supposed to pose? Yes, we're doing a picture, so yes, you can pose. All right, so 3, 2, 1, and yay, another one just in case. Ooh, way. Thank you all so much for joining. And yes, follow us on all our social media handles. And yes, it's been lovely having you guys on. All our panelists, thank you. Stanley, Dorita, everyone who's contributed. There's people left, but yeah, thank you everyone. And next time, same time next year. All right. Yeah. So take care, everyone. And bye. 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 Bye.